Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, to increase your profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week's episode, I'm taking a training that I recently did for a group of surfboard artists it was basically an intro into murals. So you're going to get a little bit of back history of me. And so people who've been listening to this podcast for a long time, you're probably going to know. So this will be a refresh. But people who are new, this gives you just a look at my mural business, how I grew it. And if I were to start over in this coming year, say 2026, say January 1st, I was like, okay, I'm going to start over. Like I'm brand new into this mural world. Like how would I make money being a muralist? Like how would I really get this kickstarted and go? And so that's what this episode's all about. So I'm going to be talking to surfboard artists in general and sort of relating it to them, but I was asked to present to them because they're interested in painting large scale and maybe adding that dimension of art into their business. And so, this is just a good overview of business and things. And it doesn't go into a lot of detail, although I do give several main big hitter tips into certain things like outreach and social media and things. But overall, if you would like to learn more, we have so much information inside of the Artist Academy. It's only $37 a month, and you get all of my scripts. You get a look inside of my biggest art projects, and you get just a big help into growing your mural business. So if you're getting serious about this in January 1st specifically, I have a lot of things coming up, including small coaching opportunities, and I only open this once a year. So if you would like this, pay attention towards the end of it, and I describe about all the things that you can get into. Okay, so let's get started. And again, this is for surfboard artists, but I think that you will enjoy it as well. Hello, surfboard artists, ladies. My name is Andrea Earhart, and I am a muralist. I'm located here in the small town Midwest of Springfield, Missouri, but I have painted all over the world, all over our North America continent, into Canada and everywhere. So I'm going to assume that you have no idea who I am. You've never listened to a podcast episode. You don't follow me on Instagram. You have no clue. You're like, okay, who is this lady that does murals? And why should I be interested in this, being that you are a surfboard artist? So I'm just going to start from the beginning. I'm just going to riff a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about what I would do in 2026, because that's coming up, right? If I had to start from zero and completely rebuild my mural career and make $50K in that first year. Okay. So let me introduce you to myself. It's kind of weird to talk about yourself, but I'm going to give it a go for about 5 minutes. So bear with me. I just want to make sure that you are really interested and invested and know that I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm very passionate about this subject. I have written a book. It's called Mural Money. As you can see, this canvas behind me, and also this very big book. It's in Audible form if you like to listen, but it basically talks about how I grew my mural career from zero to very consistent 6 figures nowadays, now 12 years in, and how I did that relatively early. So I'm just going to sum that up for you. You can check out the book at muralmoney.com if you are at all interested in listening to the full inspiring story and getting a ton of advice from a lot of people that I have interviewed on my podcast and the whole bit. But I started going to school for art. I went to a state school, so nothing fancy. It wasn't art college or anything, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I just went in the form of getting a studio art degree with an emphasis in painting and an emphasis in teaching. So I didn't see anybody else doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to create for a living, and I wasn't very hopeful that I could make that happen. So I got a teaching degree, and right before I was about to graduate and do my student teaching and be an art teacher, I was just like, this is not for me. I am not as passionate as some of my colleagues in class. I just didn't have that. I don't know. I was a born entrepreneur and I really wanted my own business in some way, preferably with a paintbrush. So graduated college and I was like, what the heck am I going to do with a degree in doodling? I had a friend who made fun of me. She's like, you literally doodle in class. Like, this is not real. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I started doing little projects around town. I started doing painting windows for businesses. I started doing small logos for the other businesses that I had networked. I was very social in college, luckily. And so I'd met a lot of different people, tried all these other different businesses, which kind of led me to just network a lot. Anyway, did several logos and just happenstance, man, just networking a whole lot. I'm just going to emphasize that. I met a lot of people. And I just started posting my stuff online so that all of these people could see that I painted for a living. Just got little things here and there. I'm talking like $100 window painting jobs and like $300 logo jobs. Like I wasn't killing it, but I was, paying some bills. And then I met a guy who worked with Bass Pro Shops and their sign painter was quitting. So the guy who does lettering and logos, and he had seen a couple logos that I had done. Long story short, I interviewed and negotiated my way to $45 an hour. They hired me on as a contracted artist and I went all around the United States, North America, Canada for about 2 years straight, painting the Bass Pro Shops stores that were opening in New Brunswick, Canada, and Vancouver, and Texas, and Florida, and Connecticut, and just a little bit of everywhere. And so I traveled a lot, and it was an amazing experience, but it was very difficult. I was working around some amazing artists, like artists that were in their 60s and even 70s, and they were painting murals. And I looked at that and I said, how do I do what they do? Because a little birdie told me that they were making about $100 an hour, which was over double what I was making. And I was like, that's what I want. I am money hungry and I'm not afraid to say it. And I will work my way up. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a muralist. I wanted to do what they were doing, but I knew it was going to take some time. However, you do anything for 60, 70 hours a week for 2 years, you're going to get decently good at it. So I I was mentored under them. And I don't know that anybody really taught me a whole lot. I just got to see what they were doing, see what products they were using, ask some questions here and there and kind of figure it out. I was really bad at first. and so I did lettering, logos, and eventually murals. And then construction slowed down and I wanted to come back to place that I went to college was Springfield, Missouri, and sleep in my own bed for once. So I tried to make a name for myself around here and I started doing photo op art, wings, all that. It was cool back then. Okay. It was 8 years ago, wings were a hip new thing. Started doing that, started doing more logos around town. I posted a lot of things that I had done at Bass Pro Shops but it was still very much starting over. I feel like in the first year I made half of what I made with Bass Pro, which was about $100,000 a year. So pretty quickly, right? And then I was making half that. And then the next year I probably made 70. And then the next year I was like, okay. And then I was back to 100 again, but with a lot of hustle, which I'll kind of share the training with you here in a second. But I've learned so much. I've painted in so many different countries. I've pitched myself to schools doing free projects here and there. I've done brand deals with Sony, Walmart. I've painted for, like I said, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's. There's so many. And it's been very fortunate. I've done projects that are really big into the $50,000 mark, $30,000. The project I did last week was $9,000. And the most important part to me is and I'm almost done bragging about myself, I promise, and I'll get to the training, is I now have a toddler. He's almost 3 and I get to stay home with him. I'm no longer on the road painting everywhere else. And for a long time, I told myself that if I needed to make good money, if I wanted to, I was going to have to travel outside of the Midwest. And because nobody's going to pay for art here, nobody takes it seriously. And that is so not true. I've built a $100,000 plus yearly job for myself here in the small town Midwest where cost of living is very low and it's a lot tougher to get big budgets here, but I'm able to do it on working 2 to 3 days a week. So painting for $100,000 a year or more, usually like 150, something like that, working only 2 to 3 days a week. Isn't that crazy? You might not think that's a lot, but I think it's such a comfortable little place because then I get to spend the rest of my time teaching or working on canvases or doing whatever, or not painting at all, hanging out with my toddler. And it's just a really great, like we set our days are, I wake up with him. I don't start anything until 10 a.m. because I get to set up my own schedule. And then we're done by 5. I don't work the weekends. It's just like after hustling for so long, I'm now in this very cushy place. And I love to teach other artists, specifically other female artists, how to make money. Because when women make money, we have the choice to do whatever we want. We don't need to rely on a man. Don't get me started on that subject, but it's very important, right? I grew up with a single mom living in a trailer, and it's just been a huge motivator for me to teach others, specifically women, how to stand on their own 2 feet and love their job and also not sacrifice what we do for family time. And it's just, yeah, okay, let's get into it. So if you're at all interested on painting murals and doing anything or just doing custom artwork for customers, so that's mostly what I'm going to talk to you about. It's not so much painting whatever I want to paint in the style that I want to paint and selling it to other people. Although people do gravitate towards muralists who have more of a niche and all of the, we'll get into that. I mostly do customizations for people. So I have a business that calls me up that says, hey, I have an empty wall. I need some help filling it. Whether it's with a logo or a mural or maybe a blend of the two, I need your creative brain to help me put something on there because this is the wall that people see when they first walk through the door and I want them to be impressed, right? Or, hey, I'm a business and I have a photo op wall that I want customers to take photos in front of whenever they come visit and maybe they want to show off the product or something like it. And I want people to share it on social media. So I do mostly murals for businesses, but it didn't necessarily start out like that. However, tip number 1, painting for businesses is where you want to end up. So I recommend, and we'll get into this, of starting with residential projects, starting with whatever's going to pay you to paint large scale, to build up a portfolio. But the goal, and just to know this in the back of the mind, whenever we start pitching to people and doing like targeting people on social media and things like that, the goal is to paint for businesses, big or small, because businesses know the cost of doing business. They're not going to balk when you give them $1,500 quote, whereas somebody in their home is more likely to do that. It depends. But businesses aren't typically like married to the project, whereas if somebody's in their own home, in their bathroom, they're going to want to nitpick every little thing. And a business, I find, talking to other business owners, because we are a business owner, right? They don't nitpick you as much. They let you do your thing. Generally, there's some business owners that might do that, but in general, I find businesses trust me. They pay well. There's so many positives to it. Mostly they pay well. And that's what we want, right? My book is called Mural Money because that's what we're here for. We're here to make money with murals so that we can live our lives however the heck we want outside of work. Because in the United States specifically, for some reason, work is just everything to people. It's your identity. It's what you do all the time. And I just want to step back from that a little bit and let's make as much money as we can in a short amount of time so that we can live our lives however the heck we want outside of work. Okay. All right. Step 1, I made some notes for you that I'm going to refer to. Say you're starting from zero. So you guys are surfboard artists. So I'm going to assume you've never painted a mural before, ever. I'm going to assume that you're interested and that you have done sketch stuff, you've done canvas stuff, like you know how to paint to a certain degree. You're probably not an expert, but you have put in some effort and you're very interested in this. So how I would relate this to you is the style that you're doing on these surfboards. And this goes to, anybody, if you have a different niche even, or if you decide to go in a different direction later on, just the fact that you like to paint surfboards says a lot. And it can start you in a way of, you have a certain style. Maybe it's not completely, worked out yet, but these are where your interests are. So don't necessarily abandon that whenever you get into murals. If you're interested, and I'm going to assume that you are, but use it as kind of like a guide in a way. Don't just leave what you love behind. Think of this as a way of integrating into murals, because murals are a way to make really good money with art. The easiest way that I have found. It's difficult for me to sell a canvas painting. Somewhat. I've done it in the past. It's difficult. It's somewhat difficult to sell prints. Those are okay. The profit margins on them are really small. The thing with murals is if you can customize it to a customer and work with them to help bring their vision alive, that's the key component, especially doing it on a wall that's decently sized. Even an 8x10 wall, people see things that are really big and give value to it. So instead of doing a small canvas, or even a surfboard is pretty decent size, right? You're still 10 timesing that size to paint an entire wall. It doesn't even need to be full coverage. But people will pay way more for something big, even though a wall that's like 4x5 foot or a space that's 4x5 foot takes me just as long to paint something that is 10x10 foot or 8x10, whatever, like double that size. I show people how to paint. Like, I can't really show you like how to, there's tricks like how to use a bigger brush, and that's mostly it. How to use rollers or a spray gun instead of using a small detail brush like you're probably using now, right? It's just using different tools and more paint, and it goes by just as quickly, because murals, you don't have the level of detail that you would have on a small canvas or a surfboard. You're a lot looser with it because people typically aren't viewing it like up this close. They're viewing it from a little bit far away, and everything just meshes together. So that's a trick to learn just with practice. I remember the first time I painted a mural, I was like, I need to get this like little spot down on this like little leaf. And then they're like, back up, just like paint it green, give it a highlight, and like, let's go. I'm like, okay, gosh, there's tricks to do it. But once you figure it out, once you have a little bit of speed, a big wall does not take that much longer than something small, but you can charge way more for it. For instance, we're going to go for $50K in the first year. So say you're wanting to start January 1st and you're like, I'm going to make $50K this year with murals. Let's go. And you can still do your other stuff as well. But let's say you want to do that. So I calculated it down, and the easiest way to work on a goal is to just go backwards from it. So say you're going to work 365 days a year, which I don't necessarily recommend unless you're like a real hustler, but the numbers look good at this number. Anyway, so for 365 days, if you were to work every single day, you would need to make $136 a day. Not too much, right? I don't think of it as very much. Murals typically are around, I have a lot of people that say anything custom starts at $1,000. I believe that. However, in the beginning, I would say anything custom starts at a minimum, absolute minimum of $500 when it comes to murals and signage and logos. Minimum, $500. So if you need to make $136 a day, okay, let's back up. Let's say if you were working 5 days a week. That means you need to make $200 a day. So it goes up a little bit more. And I'm rounding, it's actually a little bit under $200 a day. But say you're working 5 days a week, you need to make $200 a day, which is $1,000 per week to make $50K that year, right? Rounding. That is 2 $500 jobs per week. Okay? 2 $500 jobs per week with murals. is pretty easy. I say that because there are a lot of $500 jobs out there. And you know what? A lot of people, they're just getting into murals or just getting into custom painting like this on people's walls, interior, residential, commercial. The first thing that people say is, I can't do this. I can't paint large scale. I can show you. Or you can look on YouTube or whatever. There's so many videos out there. I can teach you personally. But they will look at other people doing it. You look at the videos that I have. You look at YouTube. You look at Instagram, and you're like, holy crap, those people, that's a muralist. They're already doing this. Why should I get into this? Like you get this like deer in headlights, and it's like a imposter syndrome kind of a thing, right? And my best advice to get around that is whenever you're first starting is like, first off, all of those people started from day one, exactly where you are, or even maybe with less experience, or maybe with more. It doesn't matter. My first mural was like, kind of hideous, but you get better. So I and most other experienced muralists that have been doing this for a really long time, we don't want the $500 jobs. We just don't. Like if somebody gave to me and was like, hey, can you do this for that? I'd be like, no, thank you. Let me pass it along to another artist that I know. So, and I don't say that to be pretentious or whatever. I say that to encourage you and say, this first step that you're in, like you're in a league of your own. There's so many $500 jobs out there, and they're up for the taking. You just need to take them. You need to get yourself in front of the people who will ask for them, and then you will say yes for them. Because I am not looking forward to doing that. So you don't have to worry about any kind of imposter syndrome of anybody else stealing your jobs. They don't want those. You'll eventually work up to the level that more experienced artists are at. But right now, 2 $500 jobs a week is so possible. So how are you going to get it? First off, let's focus on now marketing and later marketing. So now marketing, things you need to worry about now. Later marketing I'll describe after I'll do the first list, but it's like things that people often worry about now, but it's really a later problem. So don't even worry about it. So I'll just say the later problem first off, or things that like hurdles that you think you need to go over right now, but you really don't. So website and SEO, that is a later problem. That is something you should not even worry about right now. Don't even think of like, oh my gosh, I need to switch over my Instagram and like add this mural thing, or I need to put that I'm a muralist on my website, or I need to make a website, or like all that. Like that doesn't matter. And also, if you're even thinking about starting another Instagram or Facebook page that's like Sarah Muralist instead of like Sarah Surfboard Artist, don't even think about it. Don't even do it. Can you manage 2 accounts? I can't. No, don't do it. If you start to do custom art, just put it under your surfboard arts or whatever you're doing right now, whatever custom thing you're doing right now, pet portraits, it doesn't matter. It all goes together. I do murals, I do logos, I teach, I have a podcast. I do so many things under one Instagram and Facebook page, and like it's all the same, and nobody complains about it. So you can put it all under there. Nobody's going to be like, I thought you did surfboard artists. What are you doing painting a bathroom? Like, no, it's art. People love it. It doesn't matter. Okay. Also, getting referrals from people and getting your name out there so much that people start referring you was basically that will happen later. And that is also a goal that I want to mention first and foremost, because that is how I get maybe like 50% of my stuff nowadays, which is really nice. It's really the goal that you want to be at. But how you do that in the beginning is you worry about the now marketing. So again, we're not worrying about website and SEO. You don't have to go make a website right now. It's not a task. Don't even think about it. And getting referrals is something that we are aiming for. Okay. That is later marketing. Maybe halfway through the year or towards the end of the year, we'll worry about doing the website and SEO. But for right now, the now marketing is social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, and third is LinkedIn, are king in my area. You can get murals through TikTok. I know that people do, but it's more finding whatever platform you're on right now, as long as it's not like Threads or like X, then you're good. Pick something, pick one. I do Instagram and I cross-post to Facebook. And then I also cross-post to LinkedIn, but I don't really do TikTok anymore. Whichever one that you like to consume the most, pick that. But when it comes for murals in the Midwest, and it might be different for you, Instagram and Facebook are king, with like LinkedIn being the third. TikTok, Like I said, I don't want to travel a whole lot for my stuff, so I focused on local, and Facebook is really good for local, specifically Facebook groups. So what you're going to do is you're going to join some of your local Facebook groups, specifically your small town. This is my biggest thing for social media that you can do, is you join your small town or your small community. So say you live in Houston. You don't want to join the people of Houston. You want to join the people of whatever. I actually don't know the suburbs around Houston, but you want to join whatever suburb you're in. There's a Facebook group for that. And you want to get in there and you're going to post your stuff and say, I painted this today. That's it. Or I painted this for this local business today. That's it. You're not going to say, contact me for business. People can put 2 and 2 together. You're not going to promote your stuff in any way that says, I'm for hire. You're just going to say, I painted this today. That's it. Like, you just want to share something that you did, talk about how you like it so much. That's it. There's so many other social media strategies, but that I would say is number one. I just want to say again, there's so many social media strategies that I teach that I can show you that go with video, that go with just all these different things. But finding your local Facebook group in your area, or whatever area you want to paint in. Sometimes I'll join small Facebook groups in other countries if I want to get a job in another country. Big tip. Okay. Social media and then outreach. Outreach is really big. You can do email or DM via LinkedIn or Instagram. Whatever platform you're best on. I like to send Instagram DMs, if anything, just to connect with interior designers, connect with local businesses. There's a kombucha company here locally, and I just wrote them and said, oh my gosh, love your product. They wrote back saying, if we ever have a brick and mortar, we're going to ask you to do the logo. Great. Outreach doesn't have to look salesy. I teach all about it, but that's the main thing that I want to get across. It doesn't have to be salesy. You can say, hey, I'm a local artist, wanted to connect to another local business. Hope to stay in touch. Let me know if you need anything hand painted. Boom. That's it. DMs. Wherever you're big on, Instagram or email marketing kind of makes me want to die a little bit to email outreach inside, but it does work. So it's whatever way you want to do it. But outreach is really great if you are not big on making content for social media. You're not like super a big fan of that. Pick which one of these that you hate less. Also, public art calls, big or small, doesn't matter. Free. For instance, a public art call is a really good one is Paint Memphis. Paint Memphis is one where they provide supplies and everything, but you pretty much go to do a mural for free. And it helps to build your portfolio. And it also helps to make a lot of connections in the art world. So you can go down there, you apply, they accept you, you get a certain wall, you get a few days to paint it in. It's a big event. You get to meet a lot of people, and you get to do this big wall into whatever style you want that you get to then promote and show people that you're painting in another state. And it's just like, yeah. But this year, I have gotten 2 different art calls very close to home. One that was like 10 minutes away, and one that was like 2.5 hours away, that's where I like to get public art calls. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on applying for them, and I've made about 20 grand in just public art calls. So big into it, and you get a lot more freedom whenever you do that. So there's a lot of people applying to them. I think the best ones are the ones that don't have a really high, like they're not paying you like 50 grand, like you're getting like 5 grand or something like that, or ones that are really close to you. Look online, just Google public art call and then your city, or public art call your state, and see what comes up. Do this every once in a while and things will pop up. Sometimes there's like a 2-week window to apply. Sometimes there's a 3-month window. It doesn't, yeah. I have full trainings on what you need. I show you exactly what my public art calls look like that have gained me. Like this last one that I did was a $16,000 public art call. I show you exactly what it looks like in the academy. So I train artists, and I have a membership. It's called the Artist Academy, and it is $37 a month. Or if you pay the yearly, it's like $299 or something like that. And which equals to like $25 a month. And you get a free one-on-one call with me. Plus you get all of the resources. Like I said, public art calls, all the things. I show you how to price. I go through all of my recent big projects and tell you how I got the job, how I set up for the job, how I budgeted it, how I hired, how just 30 minutes of me blabbering on how exactly this project went, all the details, any mistakes that I made, anything that I did right, any client communications, the whole thing. You get to go inside of my art business via the membership Artist Academy, and go to artistacademy.com to see it. Another one is, this is now marketing. It is to get on Thumbtack. If you don't know what Thumbtack is, it's something you need to have some work under your belt in order to get on there and show what you can do. But sign up via Thumbtack Pro. Just Google it. You'll be able to see what it is. And you get people reaching out to you, or you get matches via what area you want to be in, of people who are looking for muralists. And it matches you. You get to give a bid. Main big tip on that, get them on the phone ASAP, respond within minutes to get the job. It's annoying, but it's way better than social media, because social media, you're just putting everything out there for entertainment, hoping you're finding somebody who on the right day is like, oh, I need what she's looking for, or somebody that can connect you with somebody. It's like a hope. Thumbtack is like a for sure thing as long as you can land it ASAP and when you're the right person for it. It does cost. It costs for leads, but again, it's marketing. Anything good is going to cost. Social media is great for now marketing and long game. It helps people get to know you, all the yada yada things. I'm sure you know a little bit about social media. If not, I have full trainings in the academy. But Thumbtack it's more customer to business. It's people who are ready to buy as long as you are ready to serve. And then I want to talk about a lot of artists, when you want to get started, it's exciting, right? It's exciting in the beginning. It's you're like the potential. Murals are really great for making good money fast. It's the easiest way that I have found to build an art business. And as long as you're flexible on creating something custom for customers, then you're going to find success with it. So I want to focus on like the now strategy and what your later strategy could be. So just to keep you from getting overwhelmed on all these things that you could possibly do, the now strategy is basically building a portfolio. So I mentioned getting $500 jobs, right? 2 $500 jobs a week is my task for you. That's the thing. And that should be an easy yes to most homeowners. And I have full like how to word your posts on how to get jobs like this, and like how you can compare it to wallpaper and but a $500 job to a business is a really easy yes. And there's a lot of businesses in town with blank walls. Everybody loves their logo. They wanted their logo painted. You can do a splash of mural with it. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but right now is building a portfolio, and it's pretty easy to get people to say yes to a $500 job if you can get yourself out there either pitching things. So what is a $500 job exactly? Interior painting, bathrooms, kids' rooms, windows, and then I would say small logos for businesses or small things for businesses. So anybody in there, and you can definitely put your niche into it if you already know what it is, like bathrooms, water, surfboards, just throwing out an idea. I don't know. I don't know anything about surfboard art. I'm just kind of shooting at the dark here. But it's mostly getting people to say yes, and you also saying yes to people. Saying yes to I would have had no idea that I would have been painting logos out of college if I didn't just say yes. And now having some calligraphy expertise has served me so well, and I'm so glad that I kept saying yes to people. So just say yes. You never know. I have a lot of small jobs, small $500 jobs, small $1,000 jobs that lead to $5,000 jobs later on. And I live in the Midwest, okay? Like, I don't know where you guys are at, but you can probably double it if you live outside of the Midwest. Like, our cost of living is super low here. And in turn, the mural prices are also decently low. So just double what I'm saying. So maybe you want to start at $900 as your absolute minimum. Like I said, anything custom, it should start at a decent amount, like $1,000, $500 at the very minimum when you're just starting out. But the idea is once you market so much and get 2 $500 jobs a week so like say you get 8 of them. You have 8 jobs on your calendar. So you're booked out for a month. That's your cue to where now those $500 jobs, anyone you post after that, or anyone you acquire after that, that is now a $700 job. So what you would normally price at $500, you're upping that to $700 now. And I don't care if this happens after 2 months of promoting. I don't care if it happens after 6 months or 8 months. Wherever you are, you don't need the first of the year to raise your prices. Even if it's a returning customer, say, okay, this is the price for that. And if anybody argues with it, say, this is what it costs. And because if you're booked out for a whole month on 2 $500 projects a week, it is now time to raise your prices. And I see so many artists who they're booked out for 6 months and they're still charging the same thing. And I'm like, girl, it is time to up those prices, because what's going to happen when you up prices, just to be real with you, you're going to have a lot more people saying no. I have a lot of cheap people saying no, and that's okay, because you're still going to have some yeses, and then you're going to be working a little bit less. Your schedule will be a little bit less far out, and that's okay, because right now my schedule is out probably 3 weeks in advance, most of the year, which is not much compared to when I used to schedule out 3 months in advance. When I said yes to every $500 project, every $900 project, like now my absolute minimum is $1,000. But what I aim for per day to make per day right now is $1,500. And I've made anywhere from like $2,500 a day to $1,000 a day. I aim for $1,500, and it usually falls somewhere around there. I can do that now because I have the speed and I have the practice, but just to let you know, that is what you're aiming for. Because when I was first starting out, like I said, I started at Bass Pro Shops, and somebody told me that those muralists made $100 an hour. I am making way more than that now. But even just knowing that, I was like, okay, that's what I'm shooting for. It makes it real, and it makes sure you're not stuck. So even if you're relating this back to your surfboard art, just have a goal in mind and keep upping your prices just a little bit. It feels so weird. It feels so almost greedy, right? You're like, who am I to charge that much? And like the minute you charge a little bit more and you're not used to getting paid that much for this product, it feels weird. It just does. And so fight through that weirdness. And then that weird number, like say you're used to getting $500 a job, $500 a job or $500 a day, whatever you want to do. And now you're charging $750. It feels weird for a little bit, maybe a couple weeks. And then that's just the new norm. That's just it. And then you're going to charge $850 for that same job that you would normally charge $500 for. You're going to charge a little bit more because you're booked out still just a little bit and people are still coming in. And that job really is worth way more than $850 where we just need easy yeses. Okay. And there are some jobs that will come along that are not $500 jobs. So I'm not saying to charge $500 every single job you have. You need to charge what it's worth. So if you're confused on what to charge for, I have a mural pricing guide. I'll link it here, but it's basically artistacademy.co/pricing guide. I also have a mural supply list, artistacademy.co/supply. You can see what kind of supplies I use. You can see how I price certain projects. I'm just giving you a goal of $500 a project, which is pretty low, right? So if you do one $900 project a month or a week, then that's your whole, like you've met your goal. And if you do anything above that, great. The goal is to continually increase, charge what it's worth, but get people to say yes. And how you do that is you get people on the phone. Just like on Thumbtack, when you get a lead, you get people on the phone ASAP. If somebody DMs you, and check your spam folder, because if you're posting in different Facebook groups, it's going to go in your spam folder. Check your Facebook, check your DMs, and get them on the phone ASAP. What I say to people is, thank you so much. I would love to do this project for you. Can you please send me a photo of any inspiration or your logo or whatever, and a wall, and a photo of the wall you're going to be painted on? And can I call you here in about an hour to discuss the project? See what they say. Ask for their number. I like to ask for photos, ask for their number, get them on the phone, and then Don't give a quote. Don't give a quote until you're ready. But whenever you get a little bit of experience, and I do this with my small group coaching sometimes, is we'll get on the phone and I'll go through different scenarios and I'm like, okay, give me a price. And I make them give me a price, because that's what you want to do on the phone. So say a Mural customer is calling me just from a DM. She DM'd me a couple hours ago. We're finally getting on a call. I'll ask her a bunch of questions about her project. And I have a whole list of questions in the academy that you can just literally just look at and go through and decide brand colors and the whole thing. And you want to throw out a number. But you don't want to throw out one number. You're going to throw out two. You're going to throw out a minimum, absolute minimum that you're willing to do. So right now it might be $500, and you're going to throw out a top number. Say, okay, from what you're describing, it's probably going to cost somewhere between $500 and $2,000. I know that's kind of a long range, but it really depends on how much detail we want in it. If we want a lot of lettering, if we want a lot of people in the design or whatever, and you're going to throw them a top and bottom number, because it gives you some leeway. And most of the time, people are going to want to land right in the middle. They don't want to be super cheap, but they don't want the top one. Most of the time, they're going to land right in the middle. And it gives you some wiggle room to where, if they say they want to go, okay, well, I really don't want to spend more than $1,000. Great. This is what it's going to look like. This is what the design I'm going to have to do. And if they keep asking for more, I'll be okay, so we're getting over $1,000. Are you okay with $1,200 if we add this? And just working with them. And then there's a whole thing of taking a deposit before you do sketches and the whole thing, and then getting into the process of it, which I teach. But I'm going to wrap up right now. Last thing on here that I have, shadow a muralist in your area. Get somebody to go help them for free for a day. Message them and say, hey, I'm just getting into this. I'd love to come just watch you work. When are you doing your next project? I'd love to blah, blah, blah. Whenever I'm doing projects, I post it in the Artist Academy Facebook group, and there's about 200 people in there, 200 artists, and they're from all over the United States, some in Europe, some in different countries, but mostly in the United States and around the Midwest, and a lot in Springfield. And so anytime I need something, I just post it in the Arts Academy Facebook group, say, hey, I have a week-long project in Kansas City. Who can come out and help? And that's how I do it. But message your local artist. You can just go to Google to find them. Also, when you go to Google, pay attention to what you're searching for in the SEO words for later. Remember, that's the later marketing. Figure out who's on the top Google and what SEO words they're using in order to use that later. Just put it in your pocket and message them. Be super, hey, I'd just love to come out and just shadow you for a day and give as much help as I can. Would you be up for that? Another task, find an artist mentor. So somebody who's doing the thing that you want to do. You guys are doing surfboard art. You're at a retreat. It looks like you found your mentor here. But if you find a muralist, myself, or anybody else online that you're that is the stuff I want to do. There are a lot of muralists out there doing very niche things with water, or I just interviewed a girl who's doing stuff she does a lot of nature and environmental stuff. I'll link that here. That might be related to you, but I don't think she teaches, but she'd be just a good one to follow. But find somebody who is doing what you want to do and message them. Get some tips from them. See what they have to offer. When anybody messages me, I will tell them, depending on what they're asking for, I have a mural supply list if you want that. I have an art pricing guide. I have a podcast that has so many different podcast episodes. Speaking of, if you want to go to my podcast, if you want to go to episode 414, that I did recently, it is things I wish I knew whenever I was, doing my first mural so I compare my very first mural ever. That was about 11 years ago to the one I had just done, and the lessons learned compare. Highly recommend that episode if you want to check out my podcast, episode 414, what I would do again if I redid my first mural, something like that. Or I have a book, like I said, Mural Money. It basically shows my entire growth strategy in detail, and a lot of what other muralists have used as well via social media, or just even going to construction sites and pitching their stuff. There's so much in this book that if you are a muralist and you want to be a muralist and you haven't read this book, highly, highly recommended. It's a 15-hour Audible, but if you just go to muralmoney.com, it is only $17. And for those of you who are really serious about it and you're like, yep, I'll get the book, I'll read it. I am starting a small coaching group January 1st for people who are really serious about starting this mural career and you know very little, next to nothing. Maybe you've done a couple things here and there. So my task, if you want to join this small group and be coached by me every single week, and I give you tasks, I give you scripts, I give you literally everything. Like, you are my pupil for the first 6 months of the year. And it is my responsibility to get you up and going and flying like a little butterfly from your caterpillar cocoon, like you're in now. And if you know yourself and you know you're going to need your hand held for the first part of the year, and you want to get this started now and make as little mistakes as possible, I want to invite you to come to my small coaching group January 1st. And between now and then, my task for you is to paint some kind of mural in your home, in somebody else's home, in a friend's home, something. Get the muscles working. There's plenty of videos in the Artist Academy membership. Again, it's only $37 a month for the membership. Obviously, I have a lot of things going on. Whatever you want. If you're super cheap and we want free stuff, we have a podcast. And if you're really ready to invest and you want fast results, we have the small coaching group, or everything in between. So reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that this was informational and it helps you get a peek inside what it takes to be a muralist. Or if anything, you can relate it back to your surfboard art and you could see, take some of that advice and apply it to there. Or, just be open about doing murals or combine it to do both. Like I said, you can charge a lot for them and I just cannot recommend them more. So yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I will put all the links to everything. Oh, wait, actually, you guys get a signed book. You don't even need. So if you want the Audible, you can go to muralmoney.com, but you guys get a signed book from me. So you already know what this is. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. So I was like promoting my book to you, but you already have it. So I hope you're enjoying the retreat and everything. And again, reach out if you have any questions. You can follow me on Instagram. I am Art by Andrea Earhart. And I wish you all the best.